phase is underway. Granadi will be in charge of locking the first pick and will be pondering the change, but it comes back to China being the favorite pick of Big to kick the match off. It will be Gwen then locking the second map in. He has the chance to choose between France, USA, Greece, and Brazil. And Greece, there you go, the first two picks that have been somewhat confirmed. France, also a solid pick for AG Global, looking to make it their best shot, with Gwen especially looking spiffy on France. If we take a look at the stats, France, he has the best average finish percentile of 74.2%. He has a 50% win rate on the dot. Out of 22 rounds that have been reported to ECM played by Gwen on France, 11 of those have been won by the Frenchman. Brazil will be the last pick for Big, being done by Massa, and that leaves USA as the decider. So China, Greece, France, Brazil, and USA. Your map order, as I am now joined by the one and only Lucas Turbo, aka Kai Ludwig. Glad to have you in, and you just came in at the nick of time.
Hello.
We've just seen two classic picks on the Big and AG side be locked in as the first two maps. And as I said, there is Big's opportunity to kind of get the ball rolling early to potentially try to tank a counter on Greece afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much looking forward to this match. Sorry for being late. There was a bit of a miscommunication with the private studio space here. But I'm finally here. Yeah, we figured it out. I just speedran my setup. But maybe you can catch me up on the pick order, what has happened so far, if I might ask. What are the five maps that we potentially see in this match?
Well, the map order has been, of course, pinned in the chat. So China has been chosen by Big, of course, Big having the higher seed. That was Granadi's that was Granadi's pick in this sense. Then back-to-back AG Global picks. It was Gwen's choice to put Greece as second map, France as map number 3, chosen by Binks, and Massa chosen Brazil on map number 4, and that leaves USA as the decider. And you might see a little bit of a spelling mistake on my part, minor spelling mistake, but technically dual language, it still somewhat checks out. There's only one E in French, although it does have an accent, but never mind, you get the idea.
Yeah, you definitely get the idea. You know, we figure it out. We know what you mean. And language is all about getting the meaning across, right? So that's the most important thing. And I'm also in here. But yeah, what a match we have here. This is literally for the top seed, as one could say. And this will be just an amazing match to start off the day, because we have another match coming up after that. As I'm finally able to join the server, I finally fought my way to all of the folders and whatnot. And I literally just joined in time, which is awesome. It's so cool. I'm just here.
You're pulling a Legion. Basically, you're just sprinting down the hallway just to get to the broadcast booth in the nick of time to get into the rhythm for casting, of course, this first game of the day, which will be Big against All Gamers, which gets started right now with round number 1 on China. And I'm very curious to see what the success rate will be like at the box line, or if we even attempted it all. Well, that's a silly question. Everybody does it, and everybody seems to get away with it pretty clean. It will be Massa with a slightly slower landing, but overall, it was pretty clean.
Yeah, it was very clean there, and I mean, this was a very good map for Massa and Granadi, but Gwen and Binks definitely came prepared. And I mean, not only did I rush downstairs, but I also assembled my whole setup, everything, within 3 minutes, which is, yeah, of course I got used to it, but it's very nice. But look at this round here, Geek. It's looking very good for All Gamers, because Big, I mean, this was their comfy first pick, but now they're just facing an ace here in this very first round. I mean, now Massa with a mistake, but Granadi cannot match the pace, and Binks and Gwen setting themselves up beautifully here for 3 points.
Yeah, and Granadi's walls kind of started back towards checkpoint number 4. You know, the big banked dirt corner before checkpoint 4? He went in a bit too far on the right-hand side. It got too much airtime, and that kind of compounded his misery and was not able to catch back up ever since. And a strong showing, they're already answering the call there, AG Global, to try and actually send to Big, hey, we can also do those too. A 105.445 in an ace situation. Gwen and Binks finishing within 66 milliseconds of each other. This is a very, very strong opening round for them.
Yeah, I agree. This is very strong here from Binks and Gwen. And I'm a bit surprised, because now Massa also with a mistake in that very first round, and now Gwen losing the gear as well in that bug side. That is so important to hold, and that's also the risk. The double-edged sword, I mean, maybe triple-edged, where 2 of those edges are bad. You know, you can crash before and you can lose the gear, and then there's some outcomes that make it work out so that you save 0.3 of a second. And Granadi, I mean, He has nothing really to gain here in this round. He just has to deny the victory, even the ace, if he makes a mistake. But Binks now with a mistake as well, so this is just a free round for everybody. But definitely not the start that I was expecting from the German duo, who both qualified to the Red Bull Faster playoffs or in Amsterdam.
Yeah, indeed, and I was going to be touching on that a bit early on during the pre-show, but we were kind of binding it for time. But yeah, Big, of course, having momentum going into their way, of course, not only in duo with the Overdrive stretch that they had 2 weeks ago, where they won all 7 games that they played, but of course, individually, both qualifying for Red Bull Faster, and of course, Massa on Sunday, winning the Elite Cup and thus doing the bulk of the work needed to secure virtually that spot into the Esports World Cup. Whereas AG Gamer, All Gamers Global, it's kind of like, it's 2 different tales. There is Gwen getting a solid decent points haul in the League Cup and also qualifying for Red Bull Faster, whilst Binks had a weekend to forget, failing to achieve both of these things. So it's all about how to bounce back, and that is a great backflip on the part of Binks. It's not going to be helping his cause in trying to get down the track, though, and that will be leaving his teammate all on his own to try and enforce yet another draw to keep that 3-point lead intact.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you really say that, really, like, the players, they could not be more different when it comes to results. Massa with a perfect weekend, you know, winning the Elite Cup, qualifying to Red Bull Faster, like, with ease, as well as Granadi. Then Granadi, a bit of a hiccup, of course, at the Elite Cup with a disconnect or his PC problems. And then Binks really trying as well, also getting so close to at Red Bull Faster, but then ultimately didn't make it. Gwen qualifying very nicely, but also look into this round here. Granadi and Massa finding the answer, also due to that hefty mistake from Binks, who's now 2.6 seconds behind, but Gwen is definitely pushing it, goes a long way onto the booster, but the additional speed is not enough. And look at those times here as well, Giga 0.3 and a 0.4. You love to see it, and it's the ace, and definitely a performance that we're expecting from Big on China.
Yeah, and also that's the first round underneath the 0.4s, and the second round out of 3 that were played so far, that was underneath the mid 105s, the 0.5s, as we do see Gwen failing the setup for the box slide, and now it's Binks' turn to try and take up the role that he's so used to in 2v2, being the dependable teammate, and he will get that job a lot easier, as Massa did seem to clip the wall before the drop down into checkpoint number 3, so Granadi now has a 3/10 lead to work with against Binks. But we're not safe from any nasty surprises here. Big know it, all gamers know it, and it's all about just going from A to B.
Yeah, definitely, but the gaps are quite large here, 0.3 at minimum between the players. But Massa definitely needs to hold on to that 3rd position to give Big the upper hand here in this match for the first time. It all started with an ace for all gamers, and also if we take a look onto the matches from the playing point or just from the standings perspective. Pack B, of course, currently in the lead. Big and All Gamers Global on 2nd and 3rd. Big still haven't lost a single match. So this could be the first one, because All Gamers, of course, you know, having a score of 21-5 in map win-loss ratio, it's just a very tough nut to crack. But even against Pack B here, Geek, Big looked phenomenal.
Yeah, Big looked phenomenal, and yeah, AG Global were very much the early benchmark team in the season, the early standings leader before Pack B showed up and clean house with a 3-0 victory against Gwen and Biggs. And this is very much the last hurdle that Big have to clear if they want to really make do on their promise of trying to go to the #1 spot. If they win this match, they will have a much easier time in the next match, which will be against Team Seoul right after this. So it is very important for them to actually get the ball rolling early. Right now, they're currently having a 1-point lead, and Gwen will be gifting the lead to a Big player, with Granadi taking the lead on his silver plate, but Binks is right there to make it work for it until he touches the wall in checkpoint 7. It looks as though Big might just run away with this thing.
And look how quickly this map just fell apart here. All Gamers were in a commanding lead just from the first round. But Geek, really, that's where Big was shining through. They were punishing every mistake so hard. And look at that, Granadi and Massa will get that ace with ease. Massa not even going onto the booster for so much. Easy ace for them. Really good for them.
easy ace and also really solid time for Granati as well. At 0.386, they're able to just get those 0.4s, 0.3s, round in, round out, where it seems more of an occasional fare on the side of all gamers. And as you said, they can punish any opponent that makes mistakes on a regular. And yeah, all gamers are not quite that consistent. Well, we do see Granati now clipping the pole that Massa clipped in round number 2 on the setup to the buck slide, but Massa has a bit of an easier jump to try and secure the map win. As long as he finishes second or better, it will be all that is needed for Big to just get a 1-map lead, which will be very important going into Greece, which will be our next map.
But, oh, that is a slide out there from Gwen as well. Just what I wanted to say, like, an ace could be possible, but I think that's all she wrote on this map, because Gwen is 1.4 seconds behind. And we talked about that so often here, Geek. It is so, Binks now as well, it's so hard to lose more than a second if you just save the end.
Yeah, it is definitely hard to lose more than a second here, as Massa, with that little touch from Binks before checkpoint 8, will be given the lead by about a second thereabouts at the splits. It will be a 0.963 thousandths of a second advantage going the way of the world record holder, who will be, well, driving another mid-point 3, very solid and consistent times, in the same vein of consistency that he pulled off in the Elite Cup. If you haven't seen the tweet, make sure to see it, because he has the string of all the times that he's driven in live rounds, and the narrowness of the range that he was able to pull those rounds in was absolutely staggering in retrospect, and a true testament of how much of a lethal weapon, in a sense, this guy can be when he is on, and he was very much on last weekend. He still looks to be on today as we go on to Greece, a map that, according to himself in his socials, Massa likes to go on vacation to Greece, not so much to drive on this map.
True that, but as opposed to his teammate Granati, maybe you guys remember at DreamHack Birmingham, my guy had the most incredible identities. He was winning 4 out of 4 rounds in the grand final, which was just an incredible display of skills, sometimes being 0.2 away from the others and then just overtaking everybody there. But yeah, you were naming it. It might really be the year for Massa. I mean, what a promising start for him, but also for his teammate. It's looking really good for them. I mean, both are guaranteed qualified to the EWC. The Esports Nations Cup is a bit of a different story. I mean, Massa currently leading the ranking. Granati definitely can catch up to that, but he needs like an insane performance. But good start for Big on the first map, but now we go to the first pick from all gamers. And do you think they just targeted Massa here, who doesn't really like this map too much?
I feel like, well, given how Massa feels, and he's been very vocal about it. And to be fair, you would be silly to not pick Greece if you're playing against Big just for that one reason. But they still have to work against Granati, because, as you mentioned, the identity execution from Granati is among the class of the field. Here on Greece, he's shown him multiple times before, and as a matter of fact, he has the best median out of the players that are on the server here, with a 113.455 median time and a 53.3% win rate. Only 15 rounds reported on Greece, played on ECM on Greece by the Big duo, but 8 of those have been won by Granati. An average finish percentile of 68.9, looking very, very good. And right now looking to try and pad up that stat a little bit as he continues to go toe-to-toe against Binks for the lead.
Yeah, but 15 rounds is not a lot to be played, of course, that is not for sure, but that is not a good sample size. But Granati is just continuing where he has stopped on the other matches. He's an unstoppable force here, and we didn't even come to the part just yet where Granati really shines through. On the other hand, Massa is 1 second behind, so he will not play a role here. But look at that fight here for first position between Granati and Binks. Already very important for Binks to overtake it, but Granati with better exit speed in this corner. This nosedive was so well executed from Granati all the time. You can see it here snapping into the nose, and look at the speed from Granati here. But is he able to control it? Small tap drift from Granati, looking great. Who is going to win this round, Binks or Granati? And it is again Granati with a superb identity here. Like, it's just so good to watch, but it's only a draw though, because Massa crashed. He was 1 second behind.
Well, the thing is, like, we were complimenting Granati on his identity execution, but kudos to Binks, who really gave him a run for it. It was a great side-by-side race. As we say sometimes, it takes 2 to tango, and that was a beautiful tango that we saw on the end of this round. And the reason for the small sample size of 15 rounds is just because Granati and Massa tend to avoid picking that map. They avoid picking it like the plague, and so far it has really played well into them. The only instance where they got somewhat their butts handed to them on Greece was when Pack B played against them, and that was the only map win that Pack B was able to take against the big duo. So it is very much the Achilles heel of the German duo so far, and Massa continuing to pay the price of that early lock-in from AG Global with the 1.3 second deficit, but a huge slowdown from Gwen before the start of the NASCAR turn. It will leave Binks versus Granati currently advantage to the man from East.
Yeah, he's currently quite far ahead here by 0.1 of a second, but you would say that to anyone on any specific map, maybe on China, but not on this map, because so much can happen. The respawn is so long here in the end as well, but Gwen is so far ahead of Massa here, and there you can see that's the target pick here, but let's see what Granati is going to do. Granati again in the lead, but
Binks
due to a mistake from Binks, yeah, and Massa also overtaking Binks here, so that's maybe only what Big is in need of if Granati just gatekeeps this first position away.
Yeah, and really what happened there, what Binks knew that he kind of had to, he had to bring his A game on this identity. He did also like this map for a reason. A 113.121 is personal best, but here in the middle part of the identity, I think he might have had a clip on the landing or at least a huge slowdown, because he was very much completely standing still, allowing Granati to take the lead, but also his teammate to pass by and Massa to pass by more crucially. So Big, against all odds, are leading on the AG Global pick, but how long will they be able to hold that lead? That is the big question. Are they going to try to do this at a freestyle? Will they draw this out and try to take a map win with a 1-point advantage?
Oh yeah, true. I remember that. I remember what you're talking about, but currently it really looks like that because Massa with another mistake here, and now Granati needs to get that first position again, but look at that win rate from Granati in this match. 62% top one so far. Like, this is incredible performance from Granati. Now having to readjust in this particular turn, but he was still getting away with it, and there's still his secret weapon, which is not that secret anymore. Maybe it was before DreamHack Birmingham, but that's already almost 1.5 months ago, and look at the speed from Granati. He almost overjumps that, but now he makes a mistake, Geek.
Yeah, he makes the mistake, but you kind of have to put yourself at your 100. You have to drive at 101, 103, maybe even more, to try and actually keep up with the AG Global guys and try to anchor the fort, as we often say, for your teammate. But unfortunately, whenever you're trying to push above your capacity, well, you're more prone for mistakes, and that has come back to bite Granati with an unfortunate landing on the third platform, allowing both AG Global players through. I'm gonna keep making the mistakes with all gamers, AG Global, you get the idea. Gwen and Binks will take the ace that they so sorely needed since the start of this map to take a 2-point lead going into this round.
Be happy that we don't have a match with Gren and Bren. Like that for me is the worst to do, right? It's a tongue twister and a half.
There's another one where I coined, the twin brothers Barbos and Nazox during the XP Evo. I mistakenly said Barbox, and I think I'm coining that whenever the two are playing together in the same match.
That's nice though. That's very cool. But currently you can also coin Gwen and Binks together because they have an insane start here. They're quite far ahead, but there's the mistake from Binks going into the wall. There are plenty of respawns, but still Massa and Granati are far away from Gwen. He was on an insane time here by the looks of it, but Gwen losing control, and this is again where Big is shining through. They usually punish those mistakes quite heavily, but for that Massa also has to survive the ending. Granati now with a mistake. Who's gonna get first, Gwen or Massa? It will be Gwen who stays ahead, and it will only be a draw, which could have been much more for Big.
Yeah, that would have been so much more. They could have fired right back at AG Global with the counter ace. It wasn't meant to be due to that unfortunate mistake, that unfortunate slowdown from Granati. The second time in 2 rounds that he gets a very significant stop. Oh, that's a new one. Both Massa and Granati on the first turn, turning too early and hitting the very edge of the wall at the end of the sausage block. And with that, that is one big way to throw a map in the bin and allow all gamers to level the playing field.
Oh, wow, that is quite something. I haven't seen those in quite a long time here, guys. Granati and Massa both going into the wall there at the same time, and then both respawning. I thought for a second it was a double respawn, but why should you double respawn the start? That doesn't make any sense. So very, very unique one. I cannot really, maybe it's more likely to like get 4 right numbers playing the lottery. Could be.
You know what? I think we could explain that with like a cosmic ray that might have simultaneously hit both Massa and Granadi's PCs. I don't know. Like
Maybe both from Germany could happen.
There's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories coming out of this. In the meantime, it will be Binks currently holding the lead. We'll see his teammate creep back up on his lower part of the screen, but it will not really matter all too much. It will be a 1-2 for all gamers, who will thus hold a 5-point lead going into the next round, and will be going into their first map point attempt of the entire game after being a little bit indecisive and thus a little bit prone to be somewhat beaten to the punch by Big on China. And they have the chance to try and parlay that map win into momentum that they can gather on fronts. And this will be a very, very strong pick for Gwen. He has the best average finish percentile out of 22 rounds, as we said earlier on the show. 22 rounds that were played by AG Global, reported to ECM. 11 of those have been won by Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen is absolutely incredible on this map, like top 10 times all over the place, and I think he can even drive world record here very soon. But don't count out Big here in this round for now. I mean, 2 aces for Big, and this would also be over, but it's easier said than done, especially when Binks and Gwen get a start like that. Granadi now a bit further behind. Massa also not with the worst of starts, finding himself on the playing field, that is for sure, but he's still 0.1 away, and only one all gamers player has to survive, and well, with that, Massa goes into the wall in the NASCAR turn in the leap of faith, and Binks and Gwen, only one of them have to survive the ending here. And even if Granadi gets the identity of a lifetime, well, it will not be enough. Both all gamers have to fail here, and it is looking good for them to not do that in this particular round. Only one more jump, Granadi gets a slowdown, and it will even be the ace with great times here as well, Geek.
Yeah, .291. This is a really, really solid round from Gwen, and that will be a 12-4 score. The round's fate has been sealed ever since Massa went a bit too wide in the NASCAR turn and thus clipped the very last part of the wall on that final apex. Well, I say final apex, the last part of that double left-hander. Just a little bit of a clip with the right front or right rear, anywhere on the right side, and that was all she wrote. As we take a little bit of a look back at some of the defining rounds here on this map, Massa just never really seemingly getting to grips with this map. It has never clicked since this map was first played in the Elite Cup back on March 14th, and it continues to show as we are going to be going on to France, the second all-gamers pick. And as we alluded to, Gwen has the best performances on this map. Granadi not too shabby either. He has a 47% win rate, 19 rounds played, 9 rounds won for Granadi. He has some pretty solid medians as well. I think he has the best median of the bunch here with a .465, a slightly lower median for AG Global's Gwen with a .622, .671 for Binks though, so both looking to be pretty consistent and looking to try and tandem this a little bit more, whilst Massa is a little bit off pace compared to his teammates.
Yeah, I agree here, but like the stats on Trackmania are just so good to see. But you can just see how close the players are together here. It's only, maybe Massa. I mean, it's like a sandwich, you know. Granadi having the best median, and then Massa having the worst median, and then Gwen and Binks are both having the .6 as a median. And then, of course, the best time really sticks out here from Gwen with a .06. I mean, he has been driving .1s and .0s ever so often, and I think he's gonna do that again on this particular map. But I think this is more evenly matched than we anticipate, and everything really comes down to the identity here. But we're gonna see how things are going. But of course, the part that might be even more difficult is the dirt jump, or the part before the jump, the outside dirt turn.
Yeah, the run into checkpoint number 6 to checkpoint 7 is really one of those that can make or break a run, and we've seen plenty of mistakes early on as well, like checkpoint 3. You can go a little bit too wide and thus get some airtime, which is what has befallen Massa, and thus leaving his teammate high and dry. And no amount of trying to pull off the nose line on checkpoint number 4 is going to be able to catch that back up, or it might, but he's going to be running out of road really, really soon. Here is the jump into the dirt for checkpoint 6, the slingshot, and Gwen going a bit too aggressive and will clubber with the rear, then the front right side of his car, promoting Granadi up into second place.
Yeah, good line there from Granadi as well. Sometimes you get a wonky landing from there, but Granadi's right front nose went down very nicely, that he got a very smooth and wide line into the dirt sector. Now we come to the identity for the first time. Binks having a commanding lead, but Granadi with good momentum build up as well. But I think we already look onto a .1 or a .2 here from Binks. This is a very good time. Okay, it's a .3, a bit deceiving because Gwen and Massa also both with mistakes. Granadi had some wonky lines advanced in there as well. I mean, we talk about wonky. This is still an absolutely incredible time, but it's the victory for All Gamers Global on their second pick.
Well, to be fair, it would have been a 0.2, like a mid to low 0.2, if it weren't for the clip of the final transfer for Bings. This is what resulted that's time loss that led us to a 0.367 at the very end of that round. But all in all, it's still a good omen and a good start for All Gamers in that first round. Let's see if Masa does get any airtime. Nope, this time he has learned the lesson. Will not go too wide on checkpoint number 3, and he will be right in the thick of the battle. Will we see a nose slide being attempted? Oh, we see Gwen trying to pull off a nose slide, and it does pay off, and that allows the young freshman to take the lead again.
And I thought also that Granati goes for the nose slide there, but he didn't make it. So that was quite interesting. But Gwen again into the wall here. Granati barely not clipping the wall there. So that was very, very important. And now Masa and Granati fighting back here. They are hungry. They want to get that ace or at least the victory. But for that, they need to overtake Binks here, who's quite far ahead. It's 0.1 of a second.
0.1 of a second, and this time it's going to be looking to enforce a draw, but a very significant clip right at the first transfer for Binks, and that will give the ace on a silver play for the German duo, unless Gwen can do something about it.
Wow.
Is he going to be able to snipe Masa? Yes, for less than 100th or run 100th on the dot. 0.732 for Granati, who will thus ensure the victory goes the way of Big and allows them to level the playing field 3-3 as we go into round 3 on map number 3.
And I think this is the 0.2 gap that we're talking about. Gwen has just this spark at the end where he's just coming out of nowhere, right? And denying the ace, the overpowered ace to Big. It could have been 4-2, but instead it's 3-3. So you can really feel and see the magnitude here that Gwen is applying to his opponents. And now it is Granati with a weak start. Goes for the nose slide, gets away with it, but is still 0.3 away. And only Masa is there to deny some damage, to deny the ace to All Gamers Global.
There we go then into checkpoint number 6. This time he will not be, this time Gwen will not hit the wall for the 3rd time in 3 rounds running. He will be going toe-to-toe with his teammate Binks and goes very low on the second part of the jumps in the dirt and will thus be taking the lead away from his teammate for 77 milliseconds at checkpoint number 8. And Masa needs something to go right there. He also needs to somewhat send it in the identity that Halfpipe Recreation, of course, Halfpipe, the early identity, the ancestor to this map that initially debuted in the fall 2020 Grand League season. But so far, there will not be any response on the part of Big, and they will stay that way until the end. It will be the ace for AG Global with a 0.347, 29 milliseconds ahead of Gwen for Binks. A solid response and a strong statement of intent sent there to the blue side.
Yeah, very, very good times there from All Gamers Global here, taking the ace and going into the lead. But again, the scoreline would have been 4-5 if Gwen didn't deny Big the ace there. So you can really see how important that one position really was. But now it is Binks who's falling behind, but also Granati with a mistake, if I've seen that one correctly. Doesn't even go for a double respawn. Maybe this one was absolutely screwed up, and now he's 4 seconds behind. Goes for a full nose slide, but this will not matter at all, as it is Gwen versus Masa. Masa really needs to deny that victory to All Gamers Global, but he's now 0.2 behind. Makes an additional mistake there by the looks of it.
Well, what happened there was Binks went over center in the bubble road on checkpoint number 2, and that prompted to get down into 4th early. And then Granati might have messed up somewhere on the way into the platform after checkpoint number 3, costing him a respawn like that. And that now has completely changed the complexion of the round, coupled with a lackluster Sector 3 on the part of Masa that sees Binks come back and overhaul their German. It will be back-to-back aces in the most unlikely of fashions there for AG Global. Gwen did not put a foot wrong at all. It was very much a case of lots of attrition everywhere, and Binks managed to get the better full rounds. We see when pulling the no slide against Masa beautifully, which allowed him to take the lead, and he will not let go of it as we go into map point attempt number 2.
Yeah, wow, like this is really something here for All Great Gamers. They only need to get that 2nd place in there, and then they're through. Big only with 3 points here, and they can win map number 2. So here we go into the next round here, and I mean, this is just absolutely incredible from them, as it is Gwen who made a mistake here at the start, and Big now need to battle it out with Binks, who's still getting it quite nicely here. But again, Granati, he needs to push here, Geek. Will it be enough? Because only Binks, he only needs 2nd place. Really? That's all that he needs?
Yeah, Binks only needs second place. It was a little bit hot trying to clear the barrier before checkpoint number 8. Gwen's forced to respawn, so right now it all rests on Binks' shoulders to try and conclude the map for AG Global. Granati with a bit more speed going into the first transfer, though, so that might be something to try and work off of and try to build upon for the blue side, and Granati just does not need any second invitation, and with that, it did be the first of 2 needed counter aces for Big. A .262 from Masai is nothing to scoff at either. A really, really great time. Granati into the midpoint 3s as well, and with that, Big are still very much in it to win it, and they absolutely need to keep on top of All Gamers Global and keep pace, because the win in this map is very important if they want to go for number 1 in Division 1 standings, remember.
Yeah, this is really what it all comes down to, because Big, they have a rather easier match coming up after that against Seoul Esports. Still, of course, they can deal some damage, but right now we're looking at 2nd versus 3rd in the ranking, and Big still undefeated. So will the spree break here from from Big, and All Gamers Global can then move up into definitely 2nd position. I think it will not be enough for 3rd. It really depends on how many maps they really lose here, but it's a 3-1 affair. Well, I don't even think it's enough, because PAC-B only lost 3 maps so far, but here we have Bing still ahead of Granati in this round, and Granati needs to find that 2nd position at least, and then Bings needs to fall behind here, and I don't think that this will be enough, because Bings is on a great run.
Yeah, Binks is on a great run, and right now, Granati and Massa do not have their fate in their hands, and even less with the huge clip on the first transfer from Massa, which even allows Gwen to go through into 3rd. And with that, the 2nd map in the books will go for All Gamers with the 107.355 for Binks, who takes the individual round win, 9/10 clear of Granati. He just was completely untouched in this round. Gwen up into 3rd will back the red side up 11-7, the final score on France, and we now circle back to a pick from the big duo, and it will be on Brazil that we go next. And let's pray for potentially a comeback of form from both Massa and Granati, because they desperately need it, as we said. But on Brazil, Massa looking pretty spiffy, with the 104.173 median, Granati on the .232, slightly faster on medians compared to Binks, but also in terms of win rates, out of 37 rounds that have been played by Big on Brazil, 16 of them have been won by Massa. A 43.2% win rate. It has been the most reliable out of the entire field on this server so far, without any DNFs. His teammate has 1, but both Binks and Gwen have 2 and 3 DNFs to their record respectively on this map. So there could be something in it to play for the blue side.
And also the median from Gwen on this map, 105.055. Definitely not the median that you're looking for on this map, when the world record is more than a second faster than that. So Gwen might be the weak link on this map, maybe the loose cannon, but the sample size, it can be over within 4 rounds. We all know that Gwen is incredibly fast. Every player has a better time than a 104 here, and I think they can even push it even further than that. But yeah, you were naming at Massa with an incredible win rate here of 16 out of 37 rounds. But then also, on the other hand, got last in 7 of those rounds, whereas his teammate Granati only in 5 rounds he got last position. So might be something to consider as well, that Massa might be more of the riskier players from that duo, but I mean, they always play the format nicely. Let's go into this first round here. Big 2nd pick. They need to win it in order to force map number 5. This is very important. If All Gamers wins, well, this match is over.
This match is over, and so would Big's aspirations for the lead in the Division 1 standings, as Massa and Binks go head-to-head at the end of the first sector, the first 5 checkpoints. It will be Bing navigating the bumps on the beach before the first reactor boost, the glider section there, and it will be still the man from Istres leading. We're going to have to wait and see the checkpoint 13 split to kind of determine whether we are on a blinder of a round or not, or if we're going a little bit more conservatively, going through that plastic quarter pipe, and we go too high for Massa, and full stopic into the upper wall, .503. It looks as though we might be heading into the low 104.0s or .1s, and now Gwen has a bit of a role to play as well. He completely gaps Granati on the entry into the glider. Can Granati retaliate? Can he try to bounce back? The answer is a no, unless maybe in the final hairpin, it will still stay a no. He will be flying backwards and turtling his way into the finish gate, but with that, All Gamers doing a lot of damage, looking to rattle Big instantly with that ace, and Binks clocking in a mid .1, .152.
Yeah, and I was really talking about the sample size before, but because this was an uncharacteristic mistake there, Geek, from Massa in that wall ride. You hardly see mistakes like that happening there.
Early, yeah.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate there for Massa, but of course a beautiful start for the French duo here of Binks and Gwen. 3-0, which looked like a draw, maybe even a victory for Big. Was an ace for all gamers because Gwen was 0.5 behind from the start and he's now behind again, but his teammate Binks has him in its backpack here. Look at that, great start. And also Granati struggled here a lot. He clipped on the inside there in the round before him, but now he gets it very nicely here, but it's still a very, very fought after round here where Binks has the lead.
Binks has the lead for now. What will the split be at checkpoint 13? It will be in the same range, 0.51 at checkpoint 13, so we'll be looking in the range of a mid-0.1 to maybe even the 0.2. As we go into the gliders, it will be Massa trying to lead the charge against the All Gamers leader of the round, and now we see the move attempting to be made as we saw him in the rocks. We actually pay a bit of a respect to Dwayne there before the chicane for Massa, and that will be costing dearly for Big, as Binks does get this to the lead and will be guaranteeing the individual victory, and with Gwen in third place, it will be the round victory for All Gamers, 5-1, and Big just completely losing their ways as we continue our progression through this map.
Again, Massa with a mistake there in this round. You just hate to see it. Of course, Massa has to go out of his comfort zone. He was pushing it to the absolute maximum there, but him hitting that rock there is, of course, so unfortunate. And Big only with 1 point due to the second place from Granati, but this could have been at least a victory for Big in that round. But now it was a victory for All Gamers, who are halfway through here on map number 4. And if All Gamers Global win this map, well, this match will be over. And now we also see Granati, who's a bit further behind. Big, they need to act quick. They need to find at least a victory in this round, else they have a tough mountain to climb. Oh, but we see a mistake, though, from Gwen. So a spark of hope comes into play here for Granati and Massa, but also Granati now clipping on the inside of the hole.
Such an unfortunate turn of events. Massa manages to still hold on to the lead and gets into the same water zone of the leader's times of 45.5 at checkpoint 13, as we did see Gwen go a bit early, and a full stall pick of Binks into the second gate, well, the penultimate gate in the last glider part. Sorry, I'm trying to stumble my way through my words because there was a lot going on there, but that promoted Gwen up to second and Granati up to third, allowing Big to get a victory and just to bridge the gap back down to 3 points as we took another look again at that clip on the inside of the hole, right at the start of the hole as well, for Granati. That could have done a lot more damage than it did in the end.
Yeah, definitely, but also like the mistake there in the ending, so many so many mistakes that I haven't seen on this map so far. Of course, the rock clip and all of that stuff, but still, like you always find new ways of how to crash and also how to save parts on this particular map, which is the beauty, but also the demise of playing this particular map. It's definitely very hard. Also, getting the alpha time on this map is not too easy, as we now see a good start from Granati and Massa again, though. Gwen holding himself into the lead, but this is a very, very close round here, only 0.1, and I think every player is on a great time.
Yeah, the closest contested round we've seen so far on Brazil today, as Binks will be kind of left behind, and it doesn't get the proper setup for the chicane, so he will be definitely left behind, and now it's all down to Gwen to try and make this into a match point situation. He continues to go toe-to-toe against Massa, but will be hitting the rock before the final checkpoint and just spin his way around, not even tossing the finish gate. Granati and Massa score a vital ace. At this stage of the map, he completely wipes the slate clean, 6-6 at the end of that round, and Big look dead set on trying to make this a 5-game series.
Yeah, a sigh of relief there for Big. You know, it was 5-1 in favor for the red team, but now it is 6-6. Almost like in favor for Big, because they really gained some momentum here, as we also see now Gwen with a mistake here, going very wide there as well, holding the gear, but didn't get a good line there beforehand. So it is Massa, Granati, and Binks now fighting back here in the top 3, but also Massa not with a good line there. So this is a very important round there, because if any team is getting a victory, well, they set themselves up very, very nicely for the next couple of rounds. And right now looks to be the red team with Binks and Gwen. Granati also in there, but he needs to just survive and just stay clear of Gwen there. But what happened there, Geek?
Now, I was just looking at the split, 45.3 at checkpoint 13. We might be on the Ripper, and we might be dipping into the 103s. Binks looks to be pressing B for boost for all it's worth, and keeps it pressed down, although we see Granati with a late attack in the final chicane. We tend to go a little bit off the throttle there for Binks at the end of that round, which parlays into a .112, but could have been a draw if he had lifted a little bit too much. So it will be AG Global on match point, Big on map point, looking to push this onto USA.
Yeah, but I mean, USA, it's still a long way. This 1 point is vital, the difference here for All Gamers Global here, because they only, like, even a draw would be insane for them in this regard, because they know that they have the pace to beat either Massa or Granati in one of those individual rounds. And well, now Massa also with a wonky start, finding himself 0.1 behind, but also Bing struggling here. Granati with a great sector here, but Massa really struggling on this map. We were praising him beforehand for his win rate, but I don't see anything of that, sadly, on this particular kind of rounds. But maybe Massa fights back here in the ending, doesn't crash this time around, but now he goes into early into the dirt. And now Granati, he has to get that first position, else this match is over.
Yeah, this is very much a tense time now on the big camp as we see Granati almost going over center, almost bobbing his two wheels into the water, but he still has a 2/10 gap to work with, and he will keep that 2/10 gap all the way to the finish line with a .083. Gwen in second place. Binks crashes before the finish line. Will get there in time and deny Massa the opportunity to level the gap again. 9-8. For All Gamers Global. Big at least need a victory if they want to push this into overtime. Otherwise, the best thing they can do is try to get an ace. But it's looking a little bit more spicy than anticipated, and AG Global may have the last laugh compared to everybody else.
But Geek, it was so important there that Massa got 4th position, and like just when you take it from the red team's point of view, because both players failed the ending there, and it could have been 9-9, but now it's 8-9. Granati and Massa, they need to find a victory, but it is Gwen who's falling a bit further behind, but Binks with an incredible start here. And again, it's only one first position that All Gamers Global do need to close out this match. Granati and Massa need to get 1st and 3rd to force overtime.
Yeah, here comes Massa, though, looking to try and actually reel the gap back down to Binks. And look at this, he's made the junction, trying to overhaul him into the plastic quarter pipe. They're side by side, going into the split of checkpoint number 13. It's looking super close right now. They're still neck and neck, as Granati tries to say, no thank you, I'm completely out of this conversation. Get out of here, I'm getting out of here. As he once again goes with 2 wheels above the surface of the water, and it looks as though Binks is completely out of it. And with that, Kai, we're moving into game number 5, a .008 for Granati, a .040 for Massa, 11-9. The script completely flipped on its head on the 11th hour, and with that, it will be GG on this map, but not on this match. Game 5, ladies and gentlemen, it's all come down to this point. USA, USA, USA. Indeed, we are coming back to the canyon.
What a match that has been, and again, similar to China here as well. Big really punishing that mistake there from All Gamers Global there. Getting that ace and not forcing overtime, just closing it out, being like, yo, thank you, we're gonna go to map number 5, and we go to the last map. We were expecting a match like that, but if someone had told me after All Gamers Global was ahead 5-1 that Big is actually winning this map, I would have not believed them.
That sounds hard to believe. Just taking a look at the stats, it might be advantage to AG Global. We do have Binks with a median of a .818, and the 102 is, of course, .949. For Gwen. Granati not too shabby either with a .911, and in fact, out of 33 rounds that that's Granati and his teammate Massa have played on this map, 14 of them have been won by Granati, 11 of them have been won by Massa. They have a pretty good track record overall, and in terms of the sample size for Gwen, well, also 10 round wins out of 42 that have been played by AG Global on this map, and 15 round wins for Binks out of the 42, so a 35.7% win rate, no retirements to speak of. Maybe Binks a few more last places compared to the rest of the field, but this looks to be an extremely contested map, and it's going to be one heck of a show to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And we go into round number 1. Also, keep in mind, Granati does the Neo slides in the end with his keyboard. So maybe you can also take a look onto his stream. I'm not sure if he streams with a webcam right now, but it's very unique to just see how he clears that identity. But here we go. I mean, it can be anyone's game. We talked about sample size beforehand, and it was Massa who was our favorite on Brazil. He was having some great rounds, but also struggling a lot, having some crashes. And now we see Granadi and Gwen, the players that we were kind of expecting from the median in front, but also Binks having a very fast time and cannot really match the pace from Granadi and Gwen in this round. But Massa's also fighting back here with a very aggressive insider and having to readjust a lot. And Granadi going to inside at the dirt flick. And now it is Massa who needs to deny the ace to All Gamers Global.
Yeah, and now Massa very much has the weight of big hopes resting on his shoulders here in this opening round. As we go into the identity, we will be helped with a clip on the helper on the first corner from Gwen, allowing Massa to at least get a point home for Big and prevent All Gamers from getting a 2 unassailable of a lead. Binks getting almost a clip on the inside of the plastic run into the finish line, but will still come away the round winner with a .786, 4/10 flat clear of Massa, who drove a 103.186. Quick maths there. And with that, it will be the red side leading by 1 point. And we are being told that apparently Granadi does have camera on. So if you want to take a look at how he plays, just make sure to do it, because it's one heck of a thing to watch.
Yeah, it's such a unique playing style, right, from Granadi on this particular map. But in general, like, we have wheel setups from Wizzy, we have wheel setup from Muda, we have other players playing with different setups, but it's just so unique to see that how Granadi does play this game since, like, ages, or for ages in this regard. But so important also for Big now that Massa was able to deny the ace for his opponents, and now Granadi's also in this round here getting it beautifully, and we see a mistake happening there to Gwen.
What comes around goes around, and this time it is Gwen getting hit with the breeze block on the right side of his car, going too wide at the exit of the dirt flick. It will be Granadi leading, but he cannot rest right now just yet, as Binks is very much continuing to give both of the big drivers a run for their money. He looks to go for the snipe, and he will make it stick for 59 milliseconds with an aggressive setup for the final crest climb into the finish line. 3-2 for All Gamers, and that is a very significant crisis that has been averted by Binks, courtesy of that round win.
Yeah, that was so important, and you can really see every slight adjustment at the end is just costing you a lot of time. Gaps were non-existent there, and you can also see here, Massa slightly clipping the inside there of the sand. Look how much speed he loses. It's 0.1 of a second that he just lost with that. I mean, it's still not the end of the world, but on a map like this, which is very pace-heavy, this is very hard to catch up to. And Granadi also with an interesting line, they're going very inside, and then it's so hard to control here. And now Gwen and Binks, first and second and Geek. This is an incredible opportunity for All Gamers Global to get that ace in this round.
Indeed, but Massa is looking to try and say, not just yet. Let's still try to grab a point for ourselves. We're not going to let you get away that easily with it, as he gets past Binks after the dirt flick. Binks is still looking to be within touching distance of Massa, though, so it's still not quite a done deal. Gwen with a 3/10 lead, looking to just coast this one all the way to the finish line. Can Binks make it into another ace for AG Global? The answer is a no for 5 milliseconds, despite, once again, a supremely aggressive entry into the final corner. Massa resists for all he's worth, and thus what would have been a 4-point gap in favor of All Gamers is now only a 2-point gap, and Big are still very much in the hunt.
Yeah, you were rightfully saying it. Massa again squeezing himself in between both All Gamers Global players here and just denying the ace. It was 5,000th of a second, but still a great effort there from Massa, who stayed ahead and didn't have a good start. Keep that in mind. And Granadi also crashed into the wall, so it looked like a very, very terrible round for Big, but they still got 1 point out of it and are still in close proximity, especially now due to the mistake from Gwen. Now Granadi and Massa could make it even a 1-point gap, or maybe even go into the lead by 1 point if Massa and Granadi can hold it together. The resilience that Big is showing in this match is incredible. Like, I don't believe it. Like, there were backs against the wall in so many of those rounds. It could have been a 4-point gap, but you can see, like, those small details are just so important. And Massa and Granadi, I think the momentum is really on their side after this ace.
Yeah, and the cracks were beginning to show right early on with All Gamers, as Gwen clobbered the wall at the exit of the dirt of checkpoint number 5, and then Binks hitting the breeze block at the exit of the dirt flick before checkpoint number 8. And with that, Big retake the lead, 6-5. at the end of this round. And yeah, we were expecting a closely contested map. We are getting it indeed points-wise, even though the momentum seems to be kind of swinging back and forth. It's kind of like seesawing its way through the match. As we go on to the next round, it will be Masa Granadi with a good bobsleigh start, and we now go on to the quarter pipe. Remember, we still have somewhat cold tires, so you have to be careful on the way you land into this, and make sure to not turn in a bit too early whilst your tires are trying to come back up to temperature. Of course, everybody has got this down, although we do see a bit of a slight wall brush from Granadi, and now it's Masa's turn to try and anchor the fort and try to at least bring the point for second place, or even better, the draw, to make it so that they on to match point, while all gamers stay 1 point away from match point.
Yeah, Gwen is just pushing so much here. It's incredible to see that. And he's still holding on to it. Like, my guy's risking so much. But this is such an important round here for all gamers to equalize the scoreboard again. It could be match point versus match point in the next round here. If Gwen and Binks stay ahead, Masa's really trying to push, but it's not enough to overtake Gwen. But Binks almost overtaking Masa in the ending there. But it wasn't meant to be. And it's 7-7. It's match point versus match point. We were expecting an incredible match, but this one, I'm not sure if it's only me, but this match feels so unique as well. Like, so many things have happened, so many small comebacks as well, and it all comes down to one round, one ace, all that it takes. Else we're gonna go into another round here, with one being a bit in a favor here if they find a victory. Maybe it will even be a draw on this round.
Yeah, definitely one of the most exciting matches we've seen all season long, and as one would say, this match has layers upon layers upon layers of things that have happened that led us to this point. Right now, it will be Gwyn leading at the end of sector number 1. It will be Granadi Masa chasing down, and now his teammate Binks looking to try and make it a 1-2 punch for Team All Gamers as they go into checkpoint 6. The setup into dirt flick, a lot of speed going into there for Gwen. Manages to avoid hitting the breeze block on the exit, and so he will still be a thorn on the side of Big right now as Bink looks to try and surge his way back up through the field as we now go into the identity. Gwen leading, Binks looking to be on the attack. Masa slowing down dramatically in the first corner. Granadi also falling by the wayside. Can Binks start to make it an ace for All Gamers Global? The answer is a no. Gwen will be making it a individual victory, and with Binks' third place, it will be the overall round victory for All Gamers. Masa, once again, standing tall, standing proud, saying, nuh-uh, we at least go for one more round.
We had the scoreline here already, 8-9. Maybe you guys remember on Brazil, and then Big just took the ace, was like, no, we're gonna get the ace. But what an ending there from Binks. And also look at the start here, so incredible. And this could be the last round. If All Gamers find at least the first position, well, it will be over. Second and third would also be enough, but we could also still go into overtime, or it could still also be Big winning this match. But now we see Masa and Granadi falling apart here, both with small individual mistakes. But Binks and Gwen still need to clear the map though, but it looks very much game over.
It looks very much to be game over, of course. You do not do the victory dance until the fat lady sings. For now, it still hasn't sung just yet. It waits at the finish line as we go towards the identity. It will be Binks and Gwen almost side by side, tandeming this together. Masa in third place, trying to bring 1 point home for the individual honor of Big, but it looks as though all those efforts are left for naught, as it will be another ace for All Gamers. A point 743 and a point 833 for both Binks and Gwen, who win this final map 12-8 and win the match overall 3-2. And with that, two very significant things happen. Well, three significant things happen. First loss of the season for Big. The game streak that they were on closes at 7. And third, and perhaps the most importantly, they are locked in second place, or worse, depending on how All Gamers, well, it's going to be second place in the anyway, for the Division 1 standings. They no longer have a shot of catching back up to Pack B. They can tie them on match wins, but the map differential will be in favor of Carlin Pack.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see like how Pack B, Big, and All Gamers Global are just stealing wins away from each team, because there will be no team with no with a flawless streak of only wins. But this was an amazing match. I'm so grateful that I was able to cover this one. I mean, it's Wednesday. It was 4 p.m.
Yeah,
no one expects a high octane Trackmania match.
A midweek game day like that is we take those. We absolutely take those.
Yeah, and we have one more match still to come. It will be another match from Big against Seoul Esports. So it will be P10 versus number 3 right now.
Yeah, it is P3. I was a little bit incorrect.
Provisionally.
Provisionally third, and it looks as though it will be perennially third because, provisionally third. No, that's right. Oh my God!
I think they can still overtake. No,
they can still re-overtake. Yeah, indeed, because if they can tie all gamers in terms of match wins, but then the tiebreaker will be the map differential, and if they manage to get a win, it will be the map diff in favor of Big, if I'm not mistaken, by one map. So P2 is still on the cards. I'm sorry that I'm getting those calculations wrong. There's so many permutations that you have to think about whenever we get to late stage game days.
You remember the global playoffs too?
Oh yeah, the absolute insanity of the World Tour second global playoffs. I think we're going to refrain from citing that due to PTSD for some players or some watchers. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, and even our brains, which can compute most of the time, they were failing to compute, and we're kind of melting and kind of dripping from our ears as we were trying to process all the possible permutations. But right now, what's going to be coming up next, of course, as mentioned, Seoul Esports versus Big, the final game of Big in Division 1, and it will come in a few minutes right after these. Stay with us.